Hello everyone and welcome back to Canadian King Coins. In today's video, I'll be giving you the history of the Canadian 50-cent coin, sometimes referred to as Canada's forgotten coin. In 1858, when the province of Canada issued its first coinage, the 20-cent piece was the highest denomination coin. But in 1870, when the new government of Canada began issuing its own coinage, it was decided that the 50-cent coin would be introduced, becoming the new highest denomination coin. These first coins were made of 92.5% silver, had a rather large diameter of 29.72 millimeters, and the obverse bore the more aged, diademed portrait of Queen Victoria. All Victorian dates for the 50-cent coins are fairly rare and pretty expensive, so this 1900 is the only example I have. Queen Victoria died in 1901, and so starting in 1902, her son, now King Edward VII, appeared on our coins. Other changes to the coin in 1902 were the moving of the word Canada from the obverse to the reverse legend. And changing St. Edward's crown out for the more current imperial state crown, among a few minor changes to the leaves. This design would remain until 1910 at the death of the king. Starting in 1911, the portrait was of course changed to that of the new king, George V. The reverse remained the same as on the Edward VII series, but in 1920 the composition was changed to 80% silver. During the late teens and early 20s, far more 50-cent pieces were struck than were needed, leading to a large excess. Very few were struck in 1921, making it one of the rarest Canadian coins and the most valuable, and none were minted from 1922 to 1928. George V died in January 1936, and after the brief reign and subsequent abdication of King Edward VIII, George VI became king that December, just in time for the coinage of 1937. Keeping in line with the government decision to modernize the reverse designs, a stylized version of the Canadian coat of arms was chosen for this denomination. King George VI died in early 1952, leaving his daughter to become Queen Elizabeth II. She would first appear on our coins in 1953. This first portrait shows her at age 27 and is known as the young head portrait. This design would remain the same until 1958. In 1959, an updated version of the coat of arms was put on the reverse, showing a more faithful representation. In 1965, the Queen's portrait was upgraded, now showing her at age 39 and wearing a tiara. In 1967, all Canadian coins had special reverses to commemorate the Canadian centennial. The 50-cent coin featured a howling timber wolf, designed by renowned Canadian artist Alex Colville. In 1968, the coat of arms design resumed, but the composition was changed from 80% silver to pure nickel, and the weight and diameter were decreased significantly. This design would remain until 1990. When the Queen's portrait was upgraded again, now showing her at age 64 and wearing a crown. In 2001, the composition was changed again, this time to nickel-plated steel. During the 80s and 90s, the use of the 50-cent piece decreased significantly, and by the turn of the century, it was seldom seen in circulation. In 2002, to celebrate Queen Elizabeth II's Golden Jubilee, the reverse featured the double dates 1952 to 2002, and the obverse bore a special portrait of the Queen used on the 1953 coronation medallions. The Mint tried to promote this 50-cent coin as much as possible, but in the end it didn't circulate well, and no 50-cent coins were produced for 2003 and 2004, except for in the collector sets. Of course, the Queen's portrait was updated in 2003, now showing her at age 77. This design has remained the same ever since, except for on the Canada 150 designs from last year. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video on the history of the great 50-cent piece, Canada's forgotten coin. If you'd like to learn more about Canadian coins, check out some of the other videos on my channel, and consider subscribing for more in the future. And as always, have a great day.